My mischievous little cousin loved throwing firecrackers at my car. During the New Year holidays, I had to patch my tires 4 times. My uncle and aunt just laughed it off, saying, "Why fuss over a child's antics?" Then I had a brilliant idea. I let the temporary Porsche Cayenne owner park on my spot. Right on cue, my little cousin's firecracker landed perfectly and ignited the fuel tank. With a loud bang, the Cayenne exploded. One eye witnessed the entire incident from my balcony window. My little cousin had stuffed several double-kick firecrackers under the back seats of the car, lit them, and ran away. The firecrackers were far more powerful than expected, and they happened to detonate right at the fuel tank. With a bang, thick smoke billowed from the back of the Cayenne. A small flame gradually grew into a raging fire. Sweat broke out of my palms as I was about to rush down to put it out. Fortunately, the property management arrived just in time and extinguished it with a fire extinguisher. After the fire was put out, the Cayenne was already burned beyond recognition. The good news is there were no casualties and no surrounding vehicles were ignited. My little cousin fled the scene as soon as the fire started running into our apartment building. I saw the property management had video evidence and was verifying the vehicle information. The burned Porsche Cayenne was parked in my designated parking spot, so they should be coming to ask about it soon. I turned to look at the living room. My little cousin's parents, my uncle and aunt, were laughing while scrolling through short videos. My parents were busy cooking in the kitchen. No one had noticed the accident. My little cousin came running back, his small eyes darting around to scan everyone. He probably knew he'd messed up big time, staying silent as he quietly shuffled to a corner of the living room. He pulled all the firecrackers from his pockets and threw them into the trash bin, destroying the evidence. After he left, I quickly wrapped the garbage in heat-proof material to eliminate any safety hazards. My little cousin sat on the sofa as quiet as a mouse, looking at his pathetic state. I felt both annoyed and amused. My beat-up car isn't worth much, so no one cared when he threw firecrackers at it. But when he blew up a Porsche Cayenne, it could bankrupt my uncle and aunt for life. Children that parents fail to discipline will be taught lessons by others. 2. I just bought a used Toyota at the start of the year. My dad said we should set off firecrackers to celebrate the new car, but I refused. It's a local tradition here. When you get a new car, you lay out a circle of firecrackers around it and set them off with a crackling bang. It symbolizes prosperity and wards off misfortune. Of course, this custom is too dangerous and is no longer encouraged nowadays. Besides, although our neighborhood is old, there are often luxury cars parked around. Setting off firecracker from my car would feel somewhat embarrassing. At that time, my uncle and aunt's family came to visit, and my little cousin overheard those words. From then on, he loved lighting firecrackers and throwing them at my car. Whenever I caught him, he'd grin and say it was to celebrate my car. Hearing this, my uncle and aunt just laughed. The little treasure is quite polite, knows how to celebrate his cousin getting a new car. This child has been clever since he was little, still remembers his uncle's words. This was just shifting the blame, implying my dad was the real culprit. The little cousin only meant well. I couldn't hold the little cousin accountable, so I had to swallow my losses. During the New Year holidays, I had to patch my tires 4 times alone, not to mention repainting the car's damaged paint from firecrackers. Today, my uncle and aunt's family came to visit again from a distance. I saw my little cousin take out a few firecrackers, taunting me. Oh no, he is definitely up to no good again. While they were going upstairs, I quickly moved my car away. This is the parking space my family bought, and my car is parked here year-round. I decided to temporarily park my car in the neighboring mall. Although it costs more in parking fees, it's better than having it vandalized by that brat. Just as I started the engine, a brand new Porsche Cayenne drove past me. This was the Cayenne's second lap around. He seemed to be looking for a parking spot, but all the ground level spaces were full. A sudden idea struck me. Although in my eyes, there was a world of difference between a second-hand Toyota and a Porsche Cayenne in terms of appearance. They were both black with 4 wheels. My little cousin wouldn't be able to tell them apart. The only thing he recognized was my parking spot. Even if I dodged this time, there would be countless more in the future. Might as well teach him a harsh lesson this time. I rolled down the window and called out to the Cayenne owner, saying I was about to leave and the parking spot could be his. The Cayenne owner happily accepted the space and parked smoothly. As I drove out of the neighborhood, I silently prayed the Cayenne owner had purchased car damage insurance. I thought most my little cousin would blow out the tires or damage the paint. I hadn't expected such a serious accident to occur. I felt somewhat nervous inside, sitting at the dining table at loss. After much deliberation, there was no way this accident could be pinned on me, which made me relax a little. My parents had been busy all morning preparing a table full of dishes. My mother brought out a plate of steamed yellow croaker with a smile, saying we could start eating soon. Then she went back to the kitchen to prepare a fruit platter. Uncle put down his phone, picked up a piece of fish belly with his chopsticks, and noisily gobbled it down. I frowned slightly. Although our families were close, they were acting far too familiar. Uncle was my father's younger brother by tradition. No one should start eating before the eldest brother takes his seat. Both uncle and aunt were locals who knew the etiquette, yet they ate heartily without any restraint. By the time my parents took off their aprons and sat down at the table, every dish had already been turned upside down. It was clear my uncle and aunt didn't give a damn about us. Our DeBeo loved shrimp, here have more. And he picked up all 12 garlic butterflied shrimp and piled them into my little cousin S bowl. The little cousin ate with greasy lips, completely forgetting the trouble he just caused. He shouted, "I want more squid, it's all mine." He grabbed another plate of squid and dumped it all in his bowl. My dad smiled helplessly and said, "Oh dear, you can't possibly eat that much, your cousin loves it too, leave some for him." My little cousin snorted, "If I can't finish it, I'll just throw it away, I won't let him have any." My parents' expressions darkened. Uncle quickly tried to smooth things over. Kids say the darndest things, don't they? "Our precious boy is so well behaved, just joking with his big brother." "Right, sweetheart, give your brother a smile." My little cousin pulled his eyelids and stuck out his tongue at me, repeatedly making a silly face. For my hand, under the table, clenched into a fist. My mother pressed down on my hand and shook her head, signaling me to just endure it. My uncle and aunt had their son late in life and spoiled my little cousin rotten, completely ruining him. He has been mischievous since childhood, what we locals call full of devilry, an absolute nuisance. Even as a baby, whenever his uncle and aunt took him to any public place, he would throw tantrums and cry uncontrollably until they went home. If anyone criticized him, his aunt would immediately get angry, saying all children behave that way. When my little cousin grew older, during our visits to his parents' house, he would chase people away with a bamboo stick. While swinging the stick, he'd shout, "Get out, you beggars, don't come to my house, get out, you beggars." I thought to myself, how could a child even understand the concept of wealth and poverty? What exactly has Uncle been whispering about us behind our backs? But every time I asked my dad, he would just shake his head and sigh. Since my little cousin Woon-T let us visit his home, my Uncle-S family came to our place for New Year-esque greetings instead. My parents would solemnly prepare a whole table of dishes every year. My little cousin would ruin all the dishes he liked without ever considering others. This year, he's gone even further, taking pleasure in setting off firecrackers under my car. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. The problem is my parents are complete pushovers, always preaching about maintaining harmony among relatives and endlessly making concessions to them. I let out a sigh and was just about to reach my chopsticks for some food. Ding, 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 a rapid doorbell rang. The property management staff had arrived. I went to open the door. Outside stood 3 property management staff and 2 uniformed community security guards, 5 people in total, crowding the entrance to my home. Leading them was the property manager, a slick middle-aged man with greasy hair. He craned his neck and asked, "Is the third parking spot from the left in Unit 1 downstairs yours? The records show it's registered to Unit 503. I said, "Yes." My parents, hearing the commotion, came over. My uncle and aunt, however, continued eating as if it had nothing to do with them. "It's our parking space. What happened?" The property manager said, "There was just a vehicle fire incident. The car parked in your spot had its fuel tank explode and catch fire. The flames have been extinguished now, and we need the owner to confirm the vehicle damage." My parents were shocked. "What, our car caught fire? What caused it? This is a brand new car we just bought. It couldn't have spontaneously combusted." Property management, "It might have been ignited by firecrackers. We have video footage of the car burning. We're currently reviewing the neighborhood surveillance to identify the suspect." Hearing it was firecrackers that caused the fire, my parents simultaneously turned their gaze toward my little cousin. This time, Uncle and Aunt couldn't stay calm anymore. They put down their chopsticks. My mother tentatively asked, "Nephew, you didn't set off firecrackers in your brother's parking spot, did you?" Aunt slammed the table hard and unleashed a torrent of scolding. "Sister-in-law, don't make baseless accusations. Our DeBeo is the most well-behaved child, never causes any mischief. You have no evidence at all, yet you falsely accuse our DeBeo right off the bat. Apologize to DeBeo immediately." In stark contrast to his mother's aggressive stance, the little cousin kept staring at the ground without saying a word. Uncle walked over with an ingratiating smile. "Brother, sister-in-law, don't be angry yet. The surveillance footage being checked. Let us wait and see. It definitely wasn't my kid. I've already lectured him, and he promised not to do it again. He didn't even bring any firecrackers when we left the house today." Uncle symbolically patted his little cousin's pockets. There was nothing inside. My father wiped his face. "Of course, DeBeo is sensible and wouldn't cause such big trouble. Your sister-in-law is impatient and asked one too many questions. Please bear with us." Auntie glared haughtily and shouted at my mother, "Did you hear that? Hurry up and apologize to DeBeo." I turned around to grab the trash bag, pulled out the firecrackers, and placed them on the floor. "The firecrackers in your little brother's pocket. I think this is what you're looking for. Just now I saw your brother rushing in frantically and throwing all the firecrackers from his pockets into the trash can." I finished speaking and looked up, meeting my uncle and aunt's gaze directly. The smile froze on my uncle's face while my aunt turned pale. My little cousin suddenly let out a high-pitched scream. "That wasn't mine, it wasn't mine." "You poor bastard framing me. I'll beat you to death, beat you to death." He screamed as he charged at me, kicking my legs with all his might. Seeing me being beaten, my mother flew into a rage. Normally timid, she suddenly transformed into a female scion. She grabbed my little cousin's arm and flung him half a meter away. "Try hitting my son again." The little cousin wailed, loudly crying it hurts so bad. Auntie's eyes turned bloodshot as she stepped forward in one swift motion to shield her precious child. "How dare you lay a hand on my baby? I'll sue you for child abuse." The atmosphere at home instantly became tense with hostility. The property manager intervened just in time. "Stop this nonsense, the surveillance footage is coming through." The property manager downloaded the surveillance video onto his phone. Everyone gathered around to look. This was surveillance footage captured by the camera on the left side of the apartment building. In the video, there was a row of parked cars. The Porsche Cayenne was completely blocked by the adjacent vehicle. The Cayenne itself wasn't visible, only my parking space could be identified. A human figure appeared clearly in the frame. We held our breath and watched closely. The little cousin sneaked furtively to the back of the parking space. He looked around to make sure no one was nearby. Then he stuffed several firecrackers onto the rear seats of the car. He bent down to light them and quickly ran away. What happened next was exactly what I saw from the balcony window. The car exploded with a bang, spewing thick smoke before gradually catching fire. When my parents first heard about the car fire, they didn't quite grasp the reality of it. Now seeing the devastating aftermath of the flames with their own eyes, my father broke out in cold sweat, while my mother covered her mouth in horror. I wanted to see how Uncle and Aunt would react. Auntie had already retreated and was now sitting on the sofa, patting her little nephew's back to comfort him. She coaxed the little boy, saying, don't cry, they're just trying to scare you." Our precious baby stayed right by Mommy's side the whole time and didn't go anywhere. "If they dare falsely accuse you again, Mommy will beat them to death." The little cousin waved his fists, beat them to death, beat them to death. I couldn't believe it. With irrefutable evidence right before her eyes, Annie still chose to bury her head in the sand. How long did she think she could let the little cousin run wild and commit misdeeds? I broke out in a cold sweat witnessing the accident earlier. Now, strangely, I feel somewhat relieved. After all, I didn't suffer any property damage. This accident will completely expose my uncle and aunt's true colors. The uncle nervously asked the property manager, "Were any of the surrounding vehicles damaged?" "No, only the car in your parking space was burned." Uncle let out a long sigh of relief, as if a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. My dad was anxious to go downstairs. "Move aside, we need to check on the car." Uncle grabbed my dad's arm and hastily tried to explain. "Let us get this straight. First, Abayo didn't mean to do it. Yes, just a kid." My father widened his eyes. "How can you still be trying to shift blame at a time like this?" "We'll definitely have to call the insurance company to assess the damage. Everything will follow procedure." My father, mindful of Uncle's feelings, didn't spell out the harsh truth, but I wasn't about to let it slide. I said with deliberate cadence in front of all the property security staff, "Haha, my nephew keeps setting off firecrackers under my car. I've had to patch my tires 4 times just during the New Year period. He specifically targets my parking spot and still claims it's not on purpose. Well, the tables have turned this time. Let us see how you two clean up this mess." Uncle glared at me, pointing his index finger right at my nose. "How dare you speak to your elders like that? Brother, sister-in-law, I'm not trying to interfere, but this child really needs proper discipline. No respect for elders at all. If you've purchased vehicle damage insurance, of course, you can file a claim. If not, well, tough luck." My father pulled me aside and told me to keep quiet, but after my little cousin set off firecrackers and blew up the car, my uncle and aunt still acted so dismissive, even my usually mild-mannered parents couldn't take it anymore and turned cold-faced. The property management and security guards were just doing their jobs at first, but when they saw such juicy drama unfolding, they stopped rushing and crowded by the door to watch the show. My mother was the first to snap out of it. "What do you mean if the insurance company won't cover it, you won't compensate us either?" Not at the mention of compensation, everyone present pricked up their ears. Even the aunt who had been playing ostrich cast an eager glance. The uncle snorted coldly. "That piece of junk you call a car would cost more to repair than buying a new one. I'll pay $10,000 at most, not a penny more." My parents' faces turned grim, while the property management staff's expressions were even more priceless. I saw them exchanging glances and whispering among themselves. "That still counts as a junk car. 10,000 yuan wouldn't even buy you the logo on that car. Totally worth coming here." But the parents and uncle-aunt in the standoff remained completely unaware. My dad said through gritted teeth, "Simon, you've really made it now, lining your pockets well, and you think you can brush off your own brother with just 10 grand. The compensation amount is for us to decide. Ping ping, tell him how much more he needs to pay at the very least." I was put on the spot, so I took out my phone to check the official price of a Porsche Cayenne. A roughly 1 million yuan. After I said that, there was a long silence. Everyone present was completely stunned. Annie let out a piercing shriek. "1 million? Have you lost your damn mind?" Uncle rubbed his forehead, shook his head, and looked at us with a hint of pity in his eyes. My parents looked utterly bewildered, glancing between me and my Uncle S family. Although my little cousin didn't understand what 1 million meant, he keenly sensed the shift in the situation. Now his parents held the moral high ground. He excitedly jumped off the sofa, ran to stand behind his uncle, and gleefully stared at me with schadenfreude. Uncle snorted through his nose. Bro, I know your family is going through financial difficulties, but you shouldn't swindle your own flesh and blood. I knew what my nephew kept parking there every day, knowing the car would get blown up. He was setting me up all along. Auntie S' voice dripped with disdain. Ziyuan, I told you long ago not to associate with those poor relatives of ours now. Look how badly they've screwed you over. The little cousin chimed in gleefully. Piece of junk, not even worth as much as my dad's watch. Shut up, you pauper. I never imagined this was how Uncle S' family saw us. Those words struck my father's raw nerve. He trembled with rage, veins bulging in his neck. Dad said Uncle S' family may have money now, but they've forgotten their roots. Back then, Grandpa worked at a chemical plant, and his retirement opened up a position. The factory originally intended to hire my dad because he had a bachelor's degree. But since my dad found a job on his own, he gave the position to my uncle, who only had a vocational school diploma. Unexpectedly, my uncle got lucky. Several leaders retired due to illness in quick succession, and he soon climbed his way up to become the head of procurement. This is a lucrative position with plenty of perks. He could take kickbacks from suppliers while skimming his subordinates' bonuses. Before long, Uncle bought a car and then a school district apartment. Unfortunately, he and Aunt never had children. Our family was originally doing quite well. Times were tough. After the pandemic, my dad's workplace shut down. Being older, he couldn't find steady work and had to take odd jobs to make ends meet. Fresh out of college and strapped for cash, I bought this used Toyota as my daily ride. My uncle never missed a chance to mock my cheap car. I've been genuinely angry several times, but my dad always advised me to maintain a good relationship with my uncle. Now that he has become a minister, we might need his help if we run into difficulties someday. That is how things work in small towns. Relatives and friends form your social network. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We stick together to get by. But no matter how poor we were, we never thought of swindling money from him. Yet my Uncle S' family guarded against us, as if we were blood-sucking parasites. To my surprise, my little cousin, setting off firecrackers to blow up a car, completely tore apart the relationship between our two families. I was the only one in the room, acting as if nothing had happened. I glanced at the official price again and repeated. That is, right, it's exactly 1 million. Uncle was so furious that he laughed instead. Ha ha ha, being sick isn't scary, being poor is the real nightmare. Then tell me, how does a second-hand Toyota end up with 1 million in damages? The property manager who had been watching the drama unfold suddenly snapped out his daze. Toyota, when did I ever say the burned car was a Toyota? It's a Porsche Cayenne. 11. These words struck like a bolt from the blue. Uncle and Aunt instantly fell silent. Everyone stopped arguing and rushed downstairs in a frenzy. Parked in my spot was a charred Porsche Cayenne, glaringly obvious. The always high and mighty Uncle and Aunt finally panicked. The flustered uncle asked my dad, Bro, isn't this the parking space your family bought? How can other cars park here? My dad stared blankly. This I don't know. He turned to me, ping ping, where did you park your car? I pouted. This wasn't my fault. I never said my car was parked in my assigned spot. The property management had checked the parking records under our household name and automatically assumed the burned vehicle was mine. The Cayenne owner rushed over upon hearing the news. He took one look at the car's wreck state and flew into a rage. Who the hell blew up my car? I let them get away with this. He spotted me in the crowd immediately and called out in confusion. Hey, aren't you the guy who gave me your parking spot? What are you doing here? As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Uncle and Aunt immediately realized it was my doing. Aunt gasped, her voice trembling as she questioned me. Why you explain yourself? What's going on? I smacked my forehead. Oh no, I drove to the mall to buy something and forgot to bring the car back. Annie, didn't believe it. You went shopping, but forgot to bring back the things you bought too. Yep, I claimed it was an accident, but my face clearly showed I'd done on purpose. When my parents heard the whole story, they stopped being worried. In fact, my mom even burst out laughing. 12. The Cayenne owner reviewed the surveillance footage and the burning video. The evidence was irrefutable. No amount of excuses from Uncle and Aunt could change that. Uncle, who had been so aggressive with us, became timid and submissive in front of the Cayenne owner. It's all a misunderstanding, just a misunderstanding. The child is young and doesn't he know better? He was playing with firecrackers and accidentally set them off. Do you think the insurance company will cover this? The Cayenne owner turned to the uncle and Aunt, his gaze fixed on the little cousin. Is this your child? How are you raising him, stuffing firecrackers under someone else's car? If he dares to blow up cars today, he dare to murder and arson tomorrow. If I remember correctly, this was the first time my little cousin had ever been scolded since he was born. He was stunned, clinging to his aunt's sleeve and trembling. His aunt shielded the child, muttering discontentedly. Oh, come on, what does a child know? He didn't mean to do it. Brother, sister-in-law hurry and help talk some sense into them. Who told you to let someone else park in your spot and cause trouble for others? In the past, my parents always believed in harmony and would usually let major issues dissolve into minor ones and minor issues into nothing. But today's argument made them see my uncle and aunt's true colors, so they just stood by and watched coldly. I took the initiative to explain, Annie, how could you say that? Why would I ever want to harm anyone? Although my little cousin has blown up my car 7 or 8 times from New Year's Eve until today, but my uncle made him promise not to do it again, and I believe my uncle's word is as solid as gold. He would never lie to me. So I gave up the parking spot purely out of kindness. Before I could finish speaking, my aunt rushed to silence me. It wasn't 7 or 8 times, it was only a few times at most. Don't believe this brat-ass nonsense. Our precious boy originally meant to blow up his brother's car, not yours. The Kian owner's eyes widened in shock. Holy crap, this is a repeat offender. That at nobody's leaving today. I'm not just calling the insurance company. I'm calling the police. The kid can't be charged. But you two parents enabled this. I'm suing you for intentional property damage. 13. No. Uncle and aunt transformed into megaphones, their voices rising and falling in a discordant duet. Please don't call the police. I promise we'll discipline our child properly. Darling, come apologize to your uncle right now. The uncle and aunt smiled obsequiously, bowing repeatedly as they apologized. Aunt grabbed her little nephew's hand, urging him to apologize to the Kian owner. The little nephew's face flushed crimson as he suddenly yanked his hand free from his aunt's grip. He charged at the Kian owner like a tiny cannonball. With a fierce impact, he rammed in the man's side and shoved with both hands, sending the Kian owner stumbling backward. The little cousin screamed at the top of his lungs. You're framing me. I'll beat you to death. My mom said it wasn't me, and anyone who frames me deserves to be beaten to death. He screeched weirdly and kicked the Kian owner's legs with all his might. Annie turned pale with fright and hastily scooped up her little nephew. The Kian owner's previously elegant demeanor upon entering the neighborhood had completely vanished. His suit pants were covered in shoe prints, his hair disheveled, and his face deathly pale from shock. He took several steps back and angrily dialed his phone. Seeing no room for negotiation, Auntie's lower lip trembled uncontrollably as she began scolding her nephew. About how could you hit someone? What did mom teach you? The little cousin straightened his back. Mom said anyone who wrongs me should be beaten to death. He wronged me. He is a bad guy. I'll beat him to death. Auntie's indulgence of my little cousin has finally backfired on her. I couldn't help but sneer coldly. The property staff who had been watching the whole show also burst into laughter, while my little cousin's mischief was infuriating when he caused trouble. Seeing this double-edged sword now wounding his own parents was immensely satisfying. Uncle, who usually cares deeply about saving face, was now flushed red with embarrassment down to his neck. Ignoring how their family had become a laughingstock, Annie hugged my little cousin and began lecturing him. You mustn't hit people. You're the one in the wrong. Now hurry up and apologize to your uncle. Say you're sorry, tell him you didn't mean to, and beg for your uncle's forgiveness. 14. The little cousin froze, staring blankly at his aunt. Then he broke free from her embrace, bent down, and took off one of his shoes. He flung the shoe hard into his aunt's face. You're framing me, too. You're also a bad guy. I'll beat you to death. Beat you to death. The aunt saw stars from the blows and momentarily lost her balance, falling to her knees. The little cousin took off his other shoe, pressed his aunt's head down, and began violently striking her temple with it. The scene instantly spiraled out of control as everyone rushed to pull the little cousin away. The shoe was wrested from the little cousin's grasp, and his uncle delivered a resounding slap across his face. The little cousin crumpled to the ground like a leaf in the wind. You little brat, how dare you hit your own mother? Uncle was furious, standing protectively in front of Aunt while grabbing his little cousin by the hair and lifting him up. With his powerful hands, he slapped the boy left and right without mercy. He showed no restraint, and within a few strikes, the little cousin's face was swollen from the beating. The little cousin screamed and made a scene, but was caught by his uncle with nowhere to run as he wailed. He was slapped hard, his gums struck with such force that he spat out several baby teeth, his mouth full of blood. The aunt clutched her temples as she stood up. Her heart ached seeing the little cousin beaten, yet she was also furious, turning her face away in silence. The uncle vented all his rage on the little cousin, roaring, "Let you hit your mom, let you blow up cars. Dare to blow up a car you don't even recognize, don't know the car, but can't you read the license plate? I'll beat you to death, you idiot." Uncle kept hitting until his hands went numb, then tossed the little cousin aside. The little cousin cried until his voice went hoarse, but no one paid him any attention. It was the Kian owner who shouted to stop the farce. The insurance company and the police will be here soon. I'm just waiting for the insurance company to determine whether it was intentional or accidental. Compensation will be paid accordingly, and arrest will be made if necessary. 15. My mom doesn't understand car insurance and asked me what difference it makes whether it was intentional or accidental for the compensation. I explained that if the insurance company determines it was an accident, they cover the full amount. But if they conclude it was intentional, the insurance payout will be minimal, requiring the car owner to negotiate compensation with the responsible party or even file a lawsuit in serious cases. My mom responded with a no. Now there is surveillance footage, and you can testify that the car was frequently targeted by firecrackers. It'll probably be ruled as intentional damage. I was about to nod when I noticed my uncle's ears twitch before he turned and walked toward me. He pulled our family aside, clasped his hands in greeting, and forced a smile. Brother, sister-in-law, let us all discuss this together. Our families are so close now that outsiders are involved. Shooting tea, we present a united front. Uncle was covered in dust, his palm still smeared with blood from hitting his son. To be honest, I've disliked him for a long time and have wanted to throw hands with him several times, but today this incident was too serious, and I felt a bit timid inside. After all, I was the one who first gave the parking spot to the Kian owner, leaving a trap. If I pushed Uncle and Aunt too hard, and they fixated on this point, it might end up implicating me. Given their current mental state, there's no telling what they might do. I pondered how to broach the subject. Instead, it was my dad who took on the sarcastic role. My dad, who we with you? Getting too close to poor relatives like us will only bring you trouble later. Uncle's face turned from red to pale as he struggled to maintain his composure. Oh dear, my wife just said it casually. I really didn't mean it that way. Given the special circumstances, nephew, do me a favor and say your brother did it accidentally. That way the insurance will cover it in full and everyone's happy. Otherwise, we can't afford to pay and we still have to borrow from your family. That wouldn't be worth it, right? 16, my mom rolled her eyes. Feel free to come borrow, not that we said we lend it to you. My parents were so in sync, they practically choked my uncle's words right back down his throat. I was awestruck. Even a cornered dog will leap over walls and a desperate rabbit will bite. I never knew my parents could pack such a punch. Uncle stood there awkwardly until Auntie came to his side. Auntie looked even more disheveled than Uncle. Her makeup had completely smeared and her carefully styled updo had come undone. She abandoned her usual domineering manner and pouted at her uncle. Honestly, you're really something, asking for a favor without even offering anything in return. Just saying it out loud won't make them take it seriously, of course. She took out her phone and opened the mobile banking app. I glanced at my little cousin. He was so frightened that he lay on the ground, vomiting, emptying his stomach of the lunch he'd eaten. Whenever he cried, everyone would gather around him, coaxing and comforting him. So he learned to use crying as the only way to get adults' attention. No one paid him any attention, and he didn't know what to do. I wonder if he ever feels that compared to him, his parents care more about money. Auntie said to me while checking her account balance. Nephew, your aunt spoke a bit harshly just now. She apologizes to you and your family. My current account still has 100,000 yuan left. I'll transfer it all to you. Take the money and buy yourself a nice car. Speak up for your brother. Just help us this once, we're begging you. I get it now, since the Kian owner seems difficult to deal with, you're taking it out on me instead. I glanced at my bank balance and smiled. Auntie, you're really careless with your calculations. This is only 50,000 yuan. My beat-up car cost more than 50,000 yuan when I bought it new. Auntie was shocked and turned to glare at Uncle angrily. Uncle hunched his shoulders and muttered. Yesterday, I went out for drinks with Director Zhao, and the others had a few. Auntie had always mocked our family for being poor, but now she couldn't come up with the money herself, leaving her in an awkward position. Without hesitation, she twisted her uncle's arm and yanked off his chunky gold watch. Make up the difference with this watch. It holds its value really well. The uncle didn't dare to resist, muttering under his breath. I'm still paying off the installments for this watch. She insisted on forcing these valuables on us, but my father firmly refused. Enough said. No use talking about it. Let us stick to the facts and let the insurance company determine the compensation. We'll just follow the procedures. The uncle panicked when he heard this. He grabbed my dad, his knees hovering in the air as if he was about to kneel. My dad held him back. The uncle pleaded with my dad in a muffled, choked voice. Bro, you're my own flesh and blood. Search your conscience. Have I ever begged you before? I'm just asking you to help me this once. How can you be so heartless? You were the one begging me before, and I agreed to everything you asked. My father took a deep breath, his gaze toward my uncle brimming with complex emotions. 17. What my uncle didn't know was that my father had already helped him countless times. During all these years, my uncle served as procurement department head. He pocketed kickbacks from suppliers while skimming workers' bonuses, lining his own pockets handsomely. Whistleblowing letters exposing him sprouted like bamboo shoots after spring rain. Many of the factory's top executives were descendants of grandfather's former colleagues. Because my father had been a model student since childhood, grandfather often took him along when socializing with colleagues, so dad had some connections with them. They contacted my father about Uncle's situation. Dad scrambled to deliver gifts everywhere, begging people to help suppress the whistleblowing letters. It happened right when my father had just lost his job, and our family was already struggling financially. My father ended up selling the calligraphy and paintings he collected his entire life, using them as gifts to pull strings and secure my uncle's position. This led to countless explosive arguments in our home. My mother would often confront my father about it. Which is more important to you, your brother or this family? My father hung his head, as if aware he was in the wrong, repeating the same words over and over. I'm his own brother. If I don't help him, who will? I've always hated my uncle, because I remember clearly how he ground my father's dignity into the dirt the one time my dad begged him for help. I graduated with a Master's degree, but the job market was tough. My father brought gifts to his door, pleading with my uncle to get me a job at the factory. Sitting behind his desk, my uncle said with feigned reluctance, "The factory is indeed hiring, but the spots are limited. It's not that I don't want to help, but your nephew's resume doesn't look too impressive. His Master's degree is just from an average 211 university, not a top-tier school. It doesn't meet our hiring standards." My father couldn't believe it. You on back. Then you only had a technical secondary school diploma, and I still got you in. Uncle sighed and said that was then, this is now. Let me be honest, college graduates and postgraduates aren't valuable these days. They're a dime a dozen. Don't think our factory isn't famous people are breaking their necks trying to get in. Your son has no academic advantage, no work experience. Why should I hire him over others? My father caught the implication in Uncle's words and said through gritted teeth, "Just say it straight. How much do we need to pay for this favor?" Uncle burst into laughter. "Bro, you're still as straightforward as ever. I heard your family just bought a new apartment downtown. That area, as property value, has been skyrocketing lately. You should take me for a tour sometime." My father's eyes widened. That was the marital home they prepared for me. Nearly half a lifetime of my parents' savings had gone into the down payment. After returning home, my father remained silent for a long time. Go to buy good wine for Uncle again. I couldn't stand it, Dad. I can find a job myself. We don't need to beg him. My father said it's fine. Your uncle was just joking. He wouldn't really take our house. I'll go plead with him again to arrange an easier job for you. Fuming with resentment, I stayed up all night, sending out resumes and going to interviews, finally landing a job in a city 100 kilometers from home. I bought this second-hand Toyota precisely so I could rush to my parents' side whenever they needed me. All these years of swallowing my pride and yielding. If Uncle had any conscience, he wouldn't have said such things today. 18, my mind raced. Then I had an idea. I pushed away the gold watch my aunt was handing me and said with a grin, "Uncle Annie, why so formal with me? We never refuse to help family. We're not that heartless. I'll go talk to the Kian owner, keep the watch, but I'll take the cash as compensation for my car being blown up by my little cousin." Annie's eyes sparkled as she thanked me repeatedly. My mother was very reluctant, and about to stop me, my father gently patted my shoulder. "It's all right. I trust Ping Ping's judgment. Do whatever you want to do. If the sky falls, your father will hold it up for you." I walked over to the Kian owner and spoke politely. "May I ask your surname?" "Sir," the Kian owner answered irritably. "My surname is Zhang." I could briefly express sympathy for his misfortune and condemn my uncle and Anna's family. Then I got to the point. "Teacher Adam, how does your car damage insurance cover liability for explosions?" "I've checked before. If firecrackers cause a vehicle to catch fire, you can request full compensation from the insurance company. Just need to prepare 3 things. First is the video of the vehicle burning. The property management footage is already very detailed. Second is the fire accident report. We have the neighborhood surveillance to prove how it happened. Third is the 110 police record. Since you've already reported it, ask the officer to clearly state the cause of the accident in the report. Use these materials to file a claim with the insurance company, and then the insurer will exercise subrogation rights by having the institution sue the at-fault party to recover the debt. This saves time and effort. No one wants to get tangled in a lawsuit during the New Year holidays. If the insurance company refuses, just say you'll call the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission to file a complaint. They won't dare to mess around then." The Kian owner listened carefully and went through the details of his vehicle damage insurance with me. Fortunately, he had purchased the highest tier coverage, so the situation could be handled exactly as I suggested. I also kept my wits about me when my little cousin set off firecrackers near my car before I had already considered the worst-case scenario. 19, the Kian owner understood the situation and softened his attitude toward me. "Young man, I can see you're a sensible person. Having relatives like that must be tough for you." I nodded vigorously. Everything was understood without words. The Kian owner continued. "The insurance company definitely want to pay the full amount. Normally, I wouldn't care about this money. But that kid is just too damn annoying. I'm going to make them pay for this. Cooperate with me for a bit. When the insurance agent arrives later, help me talk them up. Let us squeeze as much compensation as we can get." I couldn't refuse. "You got a teacher, Adam. Leave it to me." Remember to demand genuine manufacturer parts for the damage assessment that LL get us more compensation. The police car arrived, quickly clarified the incident details, and provided an official report. The insurance company arrived belatedly. The agent initially tried to shirk responsibility, but after I presented the facts and reasoned with the Porsche Cayenne owner, the agent finally relented. The compensation was settled. The Cayenne owner happily left by taxi. Uncle and aunt were also pleased, thinking the matter was over. Little did they know this was just the beginning of their nightmare. The insurance company soon sued them, forcibly demanding payment of the debt. This time, no amount of pleading would help them. Looking back, uncle and aunt actually had many chances to avoid this outcome. Yet they dodged every opportunity with pinpoint accuracy, leaping headfirst into the pit time and again. The little cousin played an indispensable role in this, successfully turning his parents from millionaires into debtors. Just when I thought this was the end of our two-family story, Uncle actually showed up at our door with a debt notice in hand. 20 Robert, your precious son has ruined me. Still claim you're not heartless relatives. I think your whole family is a pack of ungrateful wolves. At that moment, I was playing video games indoors while my mom was scrolling through short videos. We rushed anxiously to the doorway. There stood my father in a pink apron, wielding a spatula, glaring coldly at my uncle. So what? My uncle flung the notice onto my father's apron. How dare you even ask? That rich coming from you, your son promised us one thing, then turned around and helped outsiders bully us the next moment. I'm telling you, you'd better give me at least $500,000 today, otherwise I'll go to your son's workplace and make a scene telling everyone he's the child of a deadbeat. Let us see which company would dare hire him then. My mother was trembling with fear. I held her hand and realized her fingers were ice cold. My uncle was cunning. He knew exactly where to strike, like hitting a snake at its vital spot or exploiting people's weakest points, and I was my parents' Achilles heel. My father had been gentle and slow-tempered his whole life, but today he didn't back down. He put down the spatula and said calmly, "Just you wait," he said, pushing past his uncle to go downstairs, and soon returned, holding a bottle of aged liquor in his arms. My dad cradled the bottle, his eyes filled with nostalgia. This was left to me by our father before he passed away. He said his greatest regret in life was not seeing the two of us brothers settle down, start families, and achieve success. Before he died, he gave me this bottle of wine, saying we should open it to celebrate when both of us had children and our families could gather together. Your eldest was born late, so I've been waiting for that day. But after your child was born, I couldn't find this bottle no matter how hard I looked. I just went to the basement and spotted this bottle of wine at first glance. He murmured, maybe Dad also felt it's time. With that, he smashed the bottle to pieces right in front of everyone. The wine splashed all over him. He looked so cold, completely unlike the father I knew. Brotherhood ends with this drink from now on. Our ties are severed. Simon, go ahead and make your scene. We're strangers from this moment on. I'll never indulge you again. Uncle seemed dazed, a flicker of fear flashing in his eyes. Brother. But it was soon replaced by mockery. Ha ha ha, who the hell do you think you are? You're the person I hate most in this world. You think everything was given to me by you, so I should feel indebted. That's not true at all. Those things were rightfully mine from the beginning. If you cut ties with me today, you'll have plenty of days to regret it. Uncle's eyes blazed with fury as he stomped down the stairs. For several days before his arrival, Dad had been unusually quiet. Only now in my grown-up years did I realize he'd been pondering the question Mom once asked. Which matters more, your brother or this family? He made his choice, but making that decision was far more difficult than I had anticipated. It was also the first time I realized that my father's tolerance toward my uncle wasn't just because he was meek, but also out of a certain kind of affection. How should I put it? As an only child, I can't comprehend that kind of emotion. Uncle scolded me fiercely, but didn't he actually come to make a scene at my workplace? Because he was already in hot water himself. Countless letters of complaint emerged, making Uncle the target of public criticism. He was fired from the factory, leaving the entire family without income. To repay the insurance company's debt, they sold their car and even their school district apartment. My little cousin was at the age for elementary school enrollment. Without a school district house, he wasn't eligible to attend the city's top-tier primary school. He had no choice but to enroll in a mediocre private elementary school with an average reputation. Unexpectedly, the chemical factory hired my father as their procurement manager. My father had extensive management experience and was widely recognized for his integrity. After taking office, he abolished the rules left by his uncle, full of fighting spirit, declaring that 55 was the prime age for striving. Uncle's family moved to Grandpa's old house in the village. They never came to our house for New Year's greetings again. I occasionally run into my younger cousin. He's become a completely different person. He cowered timidly with evasive eyes, too afraid to speak to anyone. Later, I heard he developed psychological issues, failed to get into high school, and could only attend a vocational school. My father once offered to arrange an easy job for me at the factory I refused. I was determined to start fresh in the big city, because I've personally witnessed how our elders pin their hopes on personal connections only to be weighed down by them. A small county town, ISNT, my fallback option, it's my dead end. You have to carve out your own path. Begging others for help is useless. The end.